everyone, this is Brit's Best, and today I'm going to be making pita bread. In my bowl I have 1.25 cups of lukewarm water with 2 tablespoons of yeast. To that I'm going to add 1/2 tablespoon or 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm just going to mix these together for a minute before I add my flour in. I'm using bread flour. I'm going to add about 3 to 4 cups of flour. I'm just going to judge just depending on how my dough looks. So I'm going to start out with 2 cups of flour. Alright, so you can see my dough is, the flour has been absorbed by all the liquid, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Just a little bit at a time until it forms a nice soft dough. I'm just going to get it off the hook. Make sure, see it's still really sticky. I'm going to keep going, keep adding a little bit of flour at a time. So my dough's reached the consistency that I want. You can see it's still sticky, but it's not sticking to my hands like it was before. So I'm just going to take it off the hook. And then you need to let it rest and raise. Should take maybe an hour, depending on how warm your house is. So get up all the little pieces of dough. I like to use olive oil, since that was the fat that we used in the bread. Just put a little bit at the bottom of your bowl and smudge it all around. Coat your dough in the olive oil. You can see it's nice and covered in it. That will help give it additional flavor as well. Put your dough in the bowl and cover it with plastic wrap. Let it rise for about an hour until it's doubled in bulk. First thing I'm going to do for my pitas is I've preheated my oven to 475. I'm going to put my sheet pan in the oven so it's hot when I put my pitas on it. Alright, I've punched down my dough. Just going to get it out and reform it a little bit. I'm going to cut it into pieces in halves and halves and halves. So once I get to this point, I kind of like to reform them into a circle so I can get it actually in half. And that's about as little as I make them. So alright, so I've portioned out all my dough. I have 8 balls, which means I'm going to get 16 pitas once they're baked and I cut them in half. I like to start, just kind of push it down into a little circle and start rolling it out. You want to roll it out as big as you want your pita. And I find the thinner that it is, the more likely it is to get the air pocket in the middle when you bake it, and that is what creates a pocket in your pita. Alright, so once it's as big as you want it to be, just pick it up, bring over your parchment paper that you're going to bake it on. You kind of have to do it in batches, especially if you want bigger pitas. So I generally cook sometimes 3, but usually 2 at a time. So I like to let my pitas rest for about 5 minutes after I roll them out. I'm going to get out my hot sheet pan. Put on my parchment with my pitas. And put it back in. It's going to bake for 5 to 10 minutes until they're done. My pitas are done. It's been about 7 minutes. I'm going to get them out. See, they're nice and puffed up. They're going to deflate, and that's how you make the pocket, is they puff up. I'm just going to set them on a rack to cool. Alright, there you go. You got your little hole for whatever you want to put in it, hummus or chicken, lamb. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you make this at home.